Long way from home, Wood Elves stalk the Badlands. We've got the Azrai and Norsca as a male Glade Lord floats like a butterfly on his great forest dragon. Wanted to work in some vanilla action because not everybody likes mods, so I grabbed up Wyvern last night for a bunch of 1v1s. Very solid player, he's got his own YouTube channel linked in the pinned comment, but this was the craziest game of the bunch. Incredibly close, you're going to want to stick around to the end. There are a lot of ways to play this matchup, actually. I think full kite and skirmish is probably the best if you're the Wood Elves, but I don't really like doing that, especially in friendly matches, so we're going to be trading blow for blow with the Norskans in melee. Two lightly armored, lightning-quick factions focused on speed and maneuverability in this battle, so for army comps, the focus of my army is the male Glade Lord. The world revolves around him. There are a couple features that make him really unique. For one, Call of the Woods and his Banner of the Hunter King grants a constant plus 10 melee attack in an AoE. So not only is that dragon rolling with almost 60 attack, all the wild riders around him are hitting way more frequently as well. And then there's that Helm of Discord, which you can completely turn the outcome of a battle with. Huge melee debuff in an AoE, he rear charges you, lowers your stats significantly, then terror rocks you and lets the wild riders run you down. So we have 3 of those, including the Wild Hunters of Kurnus, because the game plan here is to operate them in a mobile strike force that's always near the Glade Lord, giving him Guardian Aura, getting Earthblood's Shields of Thorns and a bunch of other AoE buffs and debuffs going their way, and fighting always under that Helm of Discord, which is kind of the linchpin item of this entire strategy. Can absolutely crush some engagements that way. The Helm of Discord can turn a bad fight into a good one if you use it well. Glade Riders with Hagbane tips got their magical attacks back, which made me super happy. And those magical attacks are super useful against Norsca, considering how many of their units actually have physical resist. And it's also really good in the Dark Elves matchup as well. Behind them are the Tricksters of Loek, the Harlequin Eldar of Warhammer Fantasy. They're going to roll alongside a group of wild riders to help them stomp a cav or monster fight. They can stalk and become unspottable with Loek's Shroud, and Storm of Blades drops their massive melee defense over 60 for a huge boost in melee attack. Only want to use that when you're in a situation dealing massive damage, but can't get hit that much in return. Bunch of Dryads on the front line, and a Branch Wraith anchoring the left flank with Earthblood, Miasma, and Shield of Thorns. So you can tell I'm investing a lot in spells that will help my Wild Riders give as much return as possible. And for Wyvern and Norsca, as you might expect, a lot of doggos. Fantastic against the light armor of the Azrai. Ice Wolves and Beasts of Tashnar feel like an auto-include here. They'll be leading a pack of Skin Wolves into battle. The Maws of Savagery, 2 regular werewolves, and an armored variant as well. Werewolves of Norsca. Yes, I've been called the songbird of my generation. Whole front line of Marauders and Marauder champions. Wulfrik, Thimir Belfiend, and a bunch of Beastie Boys on his left. But something is brewing. Getting some pot shots with the Hagbane tips as we start. Wild Rider is going to pop their ambush, and with the Glade Lord, they are going to go in. Now, I wanted to get a decisive strike off here. I thought I could catch the Skin Wolves. Wasn't quite fast enough and committed a bit too heavily to the Norscan Warhounds and wasted my charge bonus on them. So we're going to take a little bit more damage here than I would really like. We're going to pull out and manage to escape from that, but there will be some model losses, and we will get the Glade Lord up into the air before Hunter of Champions is able to debuff him on the ground. It could have gotten pretty scary, actually. If he'd gotten that slow on the ground and gotten pinned by some Ice Wolves, could have been real bad. I guess he didn't have Ice Wolves on that flank, but even with the Warhounds, if he'd gotten a couple attacks off, maybe my Glade Lord would not have been able to take off. But we're going to Earthblood that, overcast it, get them back up to relatively full, but I think I lost 6 or 7 models on each of my Wild Riders there. Not really ideal, wasn't a good trade, didn't even kill that Norscan Warhound unit, but not a massive loss either, considering we'll be able to heal most of that HP. And the Glade Lord is looking around, trying to find a spot that he might charge into, and anytime you see Marauders or infantry that is not supported, you can get a couple attacks off, right? Like if I just go in, charge those Marauders, maybe terror at them, do a bit of damage before the Ice Wolves and Skin Wolves and stuff can get in, then that's going to be worth it. And you can see right here, his front line is a little bit too far forward, and we can charge right up the center, get some good damage done on the Marauders charging in from the flank. The Wild Hunters of Kurnus are going to run over the Icehorn Marauders for the Norskans, deal a ton of damage, and get a couple rear attacks off with the Forest Dragon as well. So, big HP loss on that relatively important infantry unit that will be able to beat Dryads in a 1v1, and some more flanking charges for the Wild Riders as well. Now there's an incredibly important fight brewing on the left flank, and as soon as I saw the wolves get aggressive, I started shifting over a lot of stuff to that side, because this is the type of meal a forest dragon licks its chops over. If you're Norsca in this situation, this is a very risky engagement without much upside. Look what's heading in that direction. Loex Trickster screaming in from the flank, Glade Lord with Helm of Discord surging forwards, while Riders coming in from the other side, and the formation is off. Thin column means only a few models at the front will actually get their charge bonus off when they go in. This has all the makings of a disaster if you're Norsca. If I remember last night, we were in Discord together, and about this point, I just said to him, that was a mistake, my dude. Doggo sandwich, perfect timing, all sides collapse in at once, and it's going to get brutal real quick. Helm of Discord pops. Skin Wolves rocking zombie stats like 6 melee attack, 1 melee defense. They're going to get dumpstered when we charge in. Front line, going okay. Dryas should be able to hold for a while, except against the Marauder champions and where he's kind of conglomerated in the center. But over here, we're melting a lot of the most important units for the Norskins, and it's a terror route. Frostbite from Seafang gonna rip through and try to slow my stuff down to prevent me escaping, or charging them down rather. But with Shield of Thorns, with Earthblood, and with that really decisive engagement, looks great, and I'll pull back and start to reassess the situation. But that's kind of a mistake, and you'll see why in a second. Wild Riders on the other flank, gonna go around behind and try to line up a hammer and anvil. But what you're gonna notice here is that I pull my Loex Tricksters away from that engagement. Enfeebling Foe goes down on the Glade Lord, and we haven't actually finished off all the Skin Wolves or the Ice Wolves yet. Now that's a problem, because the Wild Riders, without the support from the Loex Tricksters and everything else, are going to get worn down, and these spears, these elite tier spears, there's no reason I should be sending them back towards the infantry engagement. They should be right on top of those Maws of Savagery while they're pinned down and getting beaten on by the Glade Lord. And so I took what was a fantastic fight for me and kind of didn't commit fully to it. Saw all the routing, saw the tear, and said, okay, I'm good to go. But I wasn't, and so the Maws of Savagery are still in the fight and still causing a lot of damage to my army. Now, Wild Riders on this side got all the way around the flank, a beautiful hammer and anvil into the back of those Marauders. The Fear should rout that entire side, which is great, but over here, where this really important engagement started out amazingly for me, is quickly going to shift back in the Norsemen's favor because I did not fully commit to it. I just had to keep the Wild Riders on target, running them down, keep the Glade Lord there, keep the Loex Tricksters there, and we'd be in a great position to take this battle. Now it's a lot more even, because a lot of my Wild Riders, including the Regiments of Renown, got thrown good money after bad, essentially, sunk cost fallacy, and they're off the field too. Shattered. So the Glade Lord going down into the middle where the Skin Wolves are and where the Thimir Balefiend is. If we can beat up that nerd, could be a huge swing in our favor. Get that Enfeebling Foe away. If we can get rid of that debuff, then suddenly the Glade Lord can munch on Wulfrik. Even with Hunter of Champions, a massive Forest Dragon should be able to take on Wulfrik in a 1v1 fight. Glade Lord with that plus 10 melee attack, it just helps so much in a long, drag-it-out duel. But here, you see it's getting very blobbed up in the center. Wulfrik is hunting for the Glade Lord, and I notice it, and I'm hoping that there's no Hunter of Champions available, and I managed to extricate myself from that situation. Could have gotten real bad. A couple of attacks from Wulfrik in the rear would hurt a lot. Overcast Earthblood going their way, and I'm going to use the Glade Riders to cover his retreat. Really didn't want to lose my Lord there, so I charge in, give him the screen he needs to escape. So the Wild Rider micro has been feast or famine this game, honestly. Some really good moves with them, some very subpar ones too, but ultimately they have not paid for themselves. This is a matchup where if they're microed well, they should probably be getting near 100 kills each, maybe more. But all the cav is gone, and I'm not sure any of them got over 60. Cycle charging was not on point with them at all. And they're a bit too glassy to be stuck in the way they've been used this battle. But the dragon is still alive and still in good shape, making a huge impact, terror routing the entire right flank of the Norskins with some soporific breath. And that is, of course, going to be the linchpin of the build. The fact that the dragon is still in good shape is a huge swing back in my favor. So, looking pretty even. Wulfrik is in good shape, his werewolves are still alive, and they will be a big threat to the Glade Lord when they're working together. But I have some infantry left, and the Glade Riders are still skirmishing, and basically what we're going to try to do here is play the kite game a bit, avoid fighting wherever we can, and just strike those isolated targets. Glade Lord can sit on top, do some sniping of the Thimir Balefiend and of Wulfrik, chunk their HP down a bit, and we can also get some rear charges in whenever something gets isolated. So he's operating in a big blob, Soporific Breath can be a very nice way to punish that, of course, but there's not a lot of infantry, so that'll be a good one, but it's not one of those ones where it just melts an entire unit. There's just not much infantry for Norsca at this point. It's mostly mobility, which is very scary, because the Glade Lord, anytime he lands, then that Hunter of Champions can proc, slow him down, and it only takes 1 or 2 attacks from Norscan Ice Wolves or the Warhounds or the Skin Wolves to close the gap and prevent him from ever taking off again. And when you're trying to pull away, that's when you turn your back, your melee defense drops to 0, it gets very scary. I think that Bale Fiend's scared too. In the wrong neighborhood, mother licka. It's attached to your rod, mother licka. Helm of the Discord popping down, making sure the Skin Wolves do not get a lot of good attacks off, and might be able to trade a few hits here too, while their stats are low. And the low X Trickster is charging in from behind. Yeah, Wyvern is going to very wisely choose to escape from there. If he didn't, that unit would have melted in a couple of seconds. Even as depleted as those low X Tricksters are, those are the Azrai Spear War Dancer Regiment of Renown. They are amazing for killing monsters when they get on target. And Cavalry as well. Sea Fang, gonna rip through and kill a few of them. But now that they're operating in this huge blob of werewolves, it's gonna get much tougher for those spears to do well, because there's a lot more support. Wulfrik and the Glade Lord dueling it out. Hunter of Champions and Enfeebling Foe did go down. I think they just wore off, and they're gonna fight each other. And they've got comparable amounts of HP, even though it looks like the Glade Lord has like 1/3 of his health left, and Wulfrik has 2/3. Dragons obviously have a lot more health, and the great thing about a dragon, I can pick and choose where I want to go. There's a lot of routing on the Norscan line. Glade Lord going to drop on the back of Wulfrik. 1 attack, going to chunk him down to about half HP. Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma going down, and Low X Tricksters have routed. So lots of routing on both sides. In fact, tons of terror routing on the Norscan front. And I'm thinking, okay, this is looking real good for me, man. A lot of their mobility's running, but I don't have a lot of great ways to chase them down. This is where you really want to have Wild Riders, and one of the reasons they're so amazing. Wild Riders aren't just good for the killing power and the fear they cause. The fact that they have the speed to run down routing units and prevent them from ever coming back to the fight, so important, so impactful, and not able to do it here because a few of them were wasted in ways that were really not ideal. So getting a good attack into the Femur Bale Fiend, he's 1 or 2 hits from death at this point. More terror routing on the Norscan front line. The Glade Lord is putting the team on his back though. Banner of the Hunter King, Call of the Woods, and Helm of Discord, demonstrating how powerful a fully kitted out champion of Althalorn can be. But let's not sleep on that Branch Wraith either, just tanking it out in the center, casting spells all day, every day. She's a big reason the Glade Lord is even still on the field. And together, that Goon Squad from Althalorn gonna do some work on Wulfrik. 1 attacking from the rear, 1 attacking from the front. And on his Pony of the Gods, he's gonna wanna run the hell away, because if he doesn't, he's probably going to die. But the Maws of Savagery and the regular Skin Wolves are moving forward. Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma going down, just trying to do whatever damage it possibly can. Slow them down, allow the Glade Lord to escape. Maws of Savagery coming in from the other side, and that is a huge swing because they're going to get a bunch of attacks off into the 0 melee defense of that Glade Lord. When they're attacking that ass, it means he doesn't really get any melee defense whatsoever. And you see that HP bar that was about 1/3 drop to almost 0, and he's beginning to waver, tries to pull out. Low X Tricksters trying to cover him, do whatever they can to screen. They just shatter. But the Glade Lord made it up into the sky. Super close to death, but still alive. So now it's pretty much the Glade Lord, I believe, a handful of Hagbane tipped Glade Riders, and the Branch Wraith, who's just surrounded by a bunch of angry, baying doggos. Can the Branch Wraith survive, force him to blob up, let that soporific breath pour in? Got some kills there, not as many as it would have liked. Maybe if waited a couple more seconds, it would have been a better breath. Maybe killed a few more of those Skin Wolves. But the Branch Wraith is tanky, and they are not great at taking down a foot hero in the middle of all that. She's got okay melee defense. I think it's like 35. It's not incredible, but certainly they are having a hard time beating up on her. So these Eternal Guard will route to the Hunter of Champions. Wulfrik gonna go back and try to beat up on the Branch Wraith, but for now, there's only one thing that Glade Lord needs to do. I don't want to get down into melee, even though that's really where he shines, because he'll die. So we're gonna use that bow and start chunking down Wulfrik and maybe snipe out that Femur Bale Fiend as well. Now, can't sit there forever. We've got a limited amount of ammunition, and as soon as the rest of these units on the field are routed, well, then he's gonna have to land at some point and use that Helm of Discord but want to make sure that's off cooldown, and the Branch Wraith might get one more spell off before we decide to engage. And you definitely want to make sure you go for the isolated target when you do. I mean, the Glade Lord's got 500 HP. That's 1 or 2 attacks from Wulfrik will be all that's required to shatter the Forest Dragon. Thimir Balefiend just routed to his bow, though, and he's off the field. Gone. Shattered. Wulfrik and the Skin Wolves are all that remain. Regeneration on those Skin Wolves has made such a huge impact this battle. The fact that the Wild Riders did not run them off the field, definitely coming back to bite me in the ass, but this game is still completely up in the air, and the Glade Lord senses that he might be able to do something because they can't kill the Branch Wraith. Glade Lord and the Forest Dragon coming down, Helm of Discord, dropping in from the sky. Feet first into hell, ODST style. One bite and one swipe of that magnificent tail, and the Wanderer is sent to the edge of death. 32 HP left. That is all, but the Glade Lord routed too. Skin Wolves ripping it apart from behind. Glade Lord goes down. Forest Dragon is dead, and both Lords are out of the picture. Wavering and routing on both sides. Wulfrik escapes with 32 HP, but I'm not sure he's even going to come back. And it comes down to a Branch Wraith and 2 severely depleted Skin Wolves. Now, there's wavering here, but take a look as the Skin Wolves surround this Branch Wraith, which they have not been able to kill. This entire battle, it's felt like that Branch Wraith has been isolated, just trying to tank it out against all these monsters. Wavering on the Skin Wolves, and 2 units wavering now, both on the edge of routing. None of them routing now. And finally, at the end of it, Balance Bar shifts a little bit too far. Branch Wraith runs, and Norsca manages to eke out a win there. Holy crap. That was a crazy ending. We were freaking out in Discord. Had no idea which way it would go. Really fun. Just a really fun game. And there was some very good moves on both sides, and some very clear micro mistakes as well. Wild Riders were not cycle charged well enough. That's really important. It's a really important facet of their game plan. They can run over Marauders for days, but if you don't cycle charge them well, they will get dragged down eventually, and they will die, and they did not get enough kills to carry me. But more important issue was taking that beautiful engagement against Skin Wolves and the Moss of Savagery early, getting that surround off, getting that Helm of Discord in. Just engaged beautifully, but I didn't finish it. I got cocky. I pulled my stuff out of the fight before I actually had finished it, and it's a great lesson in terms of making sure, hey, if I route a bunch of units, Wild Riders need to chase them down. Log's Tricksters, the great anti-large armor-piercing monster killer, needs to sit on top of those Moss of Savagery. If they die there, probably a different battle. You guys might have noticed, but in the endgame, Moss of Savagery were one of the 3 Skin Wolves remaining, and by far the most powerful one. If they were dead, Balance Bar maybe doesn't shift, and Branch Wraith might be able to eke that one out. But great game to Wyvern. Really fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you next time. Peace.